All right, so I'm here with Ian Stanley and Cam Forrey from Almost Passive Income. And I actually was looking today. We've been working together since August of 2019. So
Really?
we're
Wow.
coming up on a year and a half.
That's
That's
crazy. It hasn't been that long.
I know it really doesn't. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, I'd love it if you guys could just tell us a bit about what your business is, who you're helping, and the way your funnels look. So what your sales process looks like.
Yeah, so the business is called Almost Passive Income, and essentially we help people make more money in less time while having more fun. We used to be more like intermediate advanced marketers, and now we've started to go more for helping. Um, we still have that whole side of the business, but helping people start from scratch and go from zero to making 5 to 10 grand a month, basically sending emails for other companies. And so, um, the whole sort of reason that we started working with Tyler is the companies that I worked with before. The first company I was at, we had really good data and we knew values of a lead from day zero, day one, day 7, 14, 21, 30. And that was how we made all of our media buying traffic decisions. But the thing is the way we did that was we had an engineer who was the owner of the company and a Google Analytics wizard. And then we had another, for lack of a better word, and this will be politically incorrect nowadays, nerdy fellow uh, who was good
How
with
dare you?
software and such things. Um, they were basically full time on figuring out, all this data and stuff. And on top of that, we had uh, was it Tableau to like visualize this software, and then we had all these different moving parts and pieces just to get this. But when we did that, I had real data that let me make decisions with the email list on what to do and how could we change front end ads, how can we change the opt-in sequence. And so I was used to that. The first year and a half of being in this business, I had that, and that's how we made our decisions. That's how I got really good at email marketing, was I had data. And in the second company, the owner was also an engineer who was a Google Analytics wizard. And so after that, and we didn't have the same level as we had before, but we could at least do front end stuff. But ever since that first business, I never had LTV software, and it's always been this huge pain point for me because I can't really make decisions. And so when Tyler and I first talked, it was early stages of this, and it's come a long ways for sure. Some of that due to my help with
Yes, Ian, you were very helpful. No
uh,
question.
figuring out. I won't say exactly how I helped, but no, figuring out, making sure that it's really usable data, right, and making sure that it's like, can we really rely on these decisions? And as we worked with Tyler in the beginning, was we didn't know for sure, is everything really right? And so now what's nice is we know that our data is correct. We know that even if somebody comes from somewhere other than ClickFunnels with a payment, or we input on Stripe, we can get the data back in. And it's really allowed us to make different decisions with our media buying, whether it's affiliates. The affiliate part is huge. And we're about to start running, and we'll talk to you about this today too, Tyler, but CPL stuff. So paying people cost per lead. And I know that we're going to be able to break it out by affiliate, and we need that because we can't pay one affiliate $2 a lead and another one $5 a lead and pretend that they're all going to be equal. So really, it's just allowed us now, with especially now scaling up YouTube ads, to make different buying decisions based at the campaign level. Because this is, and I don't know if I'm talking too much at this point, but I'll give sort of my belief in what one of the biggest issues with this always is you go, okay, well, this ad's doing well, and this ad's doing well, and this ad's doing well, is sort of your belief because collectively it's working, but you don't know what each ad is actually worth for a buyer, especially if you're doing a lot of leads on the front end. You're like, hey, these leads are worth $2. These ones are also worth $2. And you assume that they're equal or you have to assume they're equal because you can't track at a deeper level. But there may be leads you're getting for $4 that you turn off that ad set. But it turns out those $4 leads are worth $8, and the $2 leads were only worth $1. And so it's being able to make those granular decisions, even at just the UTM like campaign level, and finding the LTV there, because that's what makes the biggest difference, is being able to track down to those smaller areas so you can prune the ads that aren't actually working, but collectively seem like they're working if you're using just normal tracking software.
Yeah, that's a huge thing because I feel like a lot of times the metrics that you see for your ads in the beginning are very misleading and tell you such a small part of the story. And I've seen plenty of cases where higher cost ads or maybe even ads that aren't bringing in as valuable of customers up front actually end up being way more valuable in the long term. But you won't know these things if you're just looking at how much money you make back, from the AOV of your funnel, for example.
Right.
Yep.
Cam, do you have anything to add in?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So actually you came into this business as a vendor before I did. And so when I first came into the business as sort of an operations consultant to try to help bring some really to help Ian grow the business. Ian had this amazing business. It was highly profitable. He was creating great outcomes for customers. And we had this strange moment at Copy Accelerator about 2 years ago where we both it was like a cheesy moment from a rom-com where we looked at each other and we're like, it was one of those things like, I'm good at this and I really need this. And we just but we had known each other and been friends for a long time before that. But that was sort of the crystallizing moment. But I remember when I came into the business, we were evaluating LTV numbers and click funnels. And so one of my early projects was sort of figuring out like, does this work? And if this doesn't work, what are our alternatives? And what became really clear when we started really digging into it was there are alternatives. What that looks like is moving off of ClickFunnels into or onto a platform that's going to require developers to help us get onboarded. So we were looking at platforms like Connective and Limelight. And then on top of that, then we were going to have to hire an analytics company that had data scientists and engineers to help us sort of set up the tracking and everything. And so when we were looking at the sort of massive complexity that it was going to take to move off the sort of set of technology we were using, it just didn't make any sense. And so for us, what this allows us to do is ClickFunnels allows us to create ideas quickly and get them to marketplace quickly without a lot of need for engineering internally. And then LTV software allows us to replace sort of a whole group of data scientists and people that would be pulling the data and manipulating it for us. And Ian and I, who are both sort of marketers at heart and not technology guys, it's probably of all the different areas of the business where we're softest, but we're able to have access to actionable data using ClickFunnels so we can move fast, and then LTV numbers so that we can see what the data is telling us to make those decisions.
Yeah. And also when I talked to Joel Marion about doing CPL, cost per lead, paying, affiliates cost per lead. And he was like, oh yeah, I mean, you can get it done. You can figure it out. It's just, all I did was I just paid a guy $200,000, a data scientist, to set it all up, and he manages it daily. And I'm like, oh, cool. That's an easy solution. No big deal. And so I'm much happier to use this than to have to deal with all that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you feel like the data is accessible and easy to understand for someone who's maybe more of a business owner as opposed to a real numbers person or a data analyst?
Yeah, I mean, I use it when I teach different calls and stuff. I pull it up and show people just that simple top section of, what people are worth at day 0, 30, 60, 90, which I'm excited about this second version that has all the different intervals that we've talked about. But I think it's very easy to understand. That's the thing, is data is one thing. Data that you can actually, utilize effectively is much different. Or it's data that you can turn into action is different than, oh, look at all this data. And you go, cool, I don't know what it means. Yep. I don't know what decisions to make from it.
Yep. Cam, anything to add?
No, I mean, well, I guess, yeah, I just reiterate what he said. It's, we, within a couple of days of poking around in the software, we'd figured out how it worked. And then we were able to, in no time, be able to layer in, whether it was UTM data or data by product or data by funnel, and just start playing around with and seeing, where all this revenue came from. And in this business, it's a little bit unique compared to a lot of the other direct response businesses I've worked in, because Ian has created a ton of products, and we're up to 46, 47 products at this point. And so what we knew before was we had to be sort of at break even acquisition. And then we knew there would be lots of money that came in on the back end, but there was no sort of tight grip on what that looked like. And so using the software now, we're able to see when we run a promo on a channel or different, through affiliates, whatever, we're able to see exactly where all the revenue is coming from that sort of mysterious back end revenue that we just knew would happen. But now we can start to sort of tie it into who, what, when, why, and where, and create some order amongst the chaos.
Right. So answer this however you want, quantitatively, qualitatively. I know you said 2020 was a huge year of growth for you guys, and you're hoping to keep that going this year. But what do you feel like the impact of having LTV numbers has been on your ability to grow?
I mean, I'd say the biggest thing is with affiliates and with cold traffic, being able to go in and look and accurately say, okay, we're paying a $30 CPA here. Is that worth it? Are we getting our money back? And going, not only are we doing it on the front end, but by day 30, we've made $20 more in profit. By day 60, we're at $40 in profit. And to be able to make buying decisions based on day 7, day 14, day 30 data it's already made a big difference with Facebook traffic. Actually, had we had this properly working and we were running the Facebook ads, we would have scaled up more.
Yeah.
Because our 30-day value was a lot higher than we didn't know at the time what it was. And now we'll be able to track that as we have a new agency running Facebook. And then for the YouTube ads, I mean, I can already look and say just in the first week of starting to scale these up, by day 0, they're only worth like less than $1. And by day 7, they're worth like $17 and we're paying like $5. So to be able to go, okay, we can scale this up as much as we can handle based on not making those day 0 decisions and actually being able to track down to the UTM and campaign levels. I mean, this year it could be worth 5-10 million for us, realistically, with the new offer that's going on YouTube.
Yep.
Wow. Cam, what impact have you seen from your perspective in the business?
Yeah, well, like Ian said, it gave us a lot of clarity over the summer in 2020, because that was really when we kind of, I feel like we got a grip on the software and how to use it. And we, at the time, were scaling some ads on Facebook, and they were, at the time, I felt like they were marginal performers. Like we were right around break even, maybe slightly under break even. And really our target was to be a break even after all of our costs. And so we ended up experiencing an interruption in advertising on Facebook, which isn't an uncommon experience to go through. But what happened was sort of through that interruption, it gave us a chance to really dive into the numbers and circle back and understand what the data looked like from that several months that we had scaled. And that's when we really started to see things piling up, where we were seeing doubling, tripling in customer value over that 30, 60, 90 days. And we had tried to do some of this manually before through Excel, and, sort of just trying to sort of do back of the napkin math was really how a lot of this was done in my life before this. But now to have that data and see, this is exactly what customers from this ad, from this product, from this channel are worth on day 0, day 7, 14, 30, 60, 90, it allows us just to say, okay, we can go negative if we need to. And the thing that Ian and I talk about a lot, and we've talked about this with you, is making media buying decisions is not a linear outcome. And so if you raise your target CPA by 20%, you're not looking at a 20% increase in customer acquisition. A lot of times it's very logarithmic. If you can raise your acceptable CPA by 20%, you might get 3,000% more customers at that new price point. And so what that's allowed us to do is to have a lot more confidence in our customer acquisition. And so like Ian said, it was helpful for us in 2020, but because of the interruption on Facebook, we haven't really had a chance to really sort of go ring the bell the way that we're going to be able to. And so that's where 2021 is so exciting, using the data that we established in 2020, using Facebook, being able to do a lead gen model on the front and be able to track the data reliably, we think is really going to create a lot of explosive growth in 2021.
Yeah. And also the other thing I'll say is for the trust funnel stuff, when we started testing a different follow-up for the buyers, that's what I've been able to show. One of the big things I teach are these consumption sequences and these trust funnels to be able to create a bigger buying experience and a better buying experience for people when they buy, and be able to go and show people that these people are worth $30 on day 0 and they're worth $150 by day 30. is very cool. And to see what happens when you change how you follow up, you know, because people just think of the first, so many people are making the decision based on their AOV of the front end. I mean, day 30, 60, 90 is such a bigger deal to me.
Right. Yeah, and that's absolutely incredible growth that you're seeing. And when you know numbers like that, it can completely change the approach that you have. It can completely change the activities you're focusing on in the business. I mean, you guys brought up lead gen and paid media a lot, and you also mentioned affiliates. But I think one thing that gets overlooked is that affiliate side for LTV tracking, because when you really boil it down, it's ultimately the same thing as paid ads, in that there's a certain amount of money that you're spending to acquire your customers, and you're hoping to back that out over time, right? And with affiliate traffic, if you're able to pay 100% or 120% commission, knowing that you're making that money back in 30 days, then that can completely change your approach to the affiliate space as well.
That's the game with the affiliates, is I want to be able to pay them more, but I can't know who I can pay more if I can't see what their people are worth.
Exactly. Yep. So do you guys feel like, I know you've both been in the industry for a while, do you feel like there's another tool out there that is able to provide the same kind of experience that LTV Numbers does? You know, the out of the box nature of it, the quick setup, and the depth of analysis?
If there is, we haven't found it.
Yeah.
And we've looked
at all of them. So yeah, I'd concur with Ian. No, I don't think so. It's
the reason I refer people to you too. Like, I just got an email from a guy's like, you know, we're having a hard time tracking down LTV inside of Wicked reports. It's like, they're paying for that, but they're still not getting what they want. So I still end up referring him to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to highlight. Is we have a component in our business called the tools we use, where we highlight and educate all of our customers on the tools that we use in our business. And LTV software is a big part of that, because, and we don't have, there's no other sort of alternative that we've found that can help, because we're dealing with a lot of smaller, younger businesses. And so these guys especially can't afford Wicked reports and Domo and Tableau and data scientists and all these things, but they need access to this data to be able to grow their business. And so LTV software gives us an option to give to those people and be in the fight to grow and really, you know, make it over that hump.
Yeah, I think anybody who's doing at least like 10 grand a month at the very lowest should be using it, just because you're going to grow by using it more than what you're going to spend on it. Like, you should be able to get your money back pretty easily.
Yeah.
Just by having that data. So it's not really a cost anymore. It's an investment in growing the business.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Now, I know you've already mentioned, Ian, that you're referring customers to me, which I appreciate so much. But if you guys could just share as a whole what your experience has been like working with me, with the LTV Numbers setup, the support that you've gotten, what's the experience been like for you?
It's been really good for us, especially, you know, in the early days, it was a lot more back and forth of features and things that, hey, I think this needs to be improved. This needs to be different or better. And Tyler always went back to the drawing board and would make it better. And now it's in a place where it's a really usable, user-friendly software. And even now, if I have something where I have a question and, you know, I'm like, hey, Tyler, what's the deal? He gets back to me, and it's, you know, and then but it's also, he doesn't just like fix it once. It's like, or do it once for us. He shows me how to, so that we can do it in the future, which is nice, because then it's not a pestering him or, you know, have him take care of it for us type thing. So, I mean, it's been great. It really does affect our business. It's something I log into every day. Like, as we've been spending more and more on YouTube and stuff, it's like, this is where that's kind of my stat board of how to see the health of the business. Are we putting customers in to the new funnels, and what are they worth?
Yeah.
And Cam, how about for you?
Yeah, very much like Ian said. I mean, the tool was really good when we first started working together. What's been amazing, though, is sort of just the consistent back and forth where we give you ideas about how to improve the tool. And then you've always taken those ideas and incorporated them, and in really a short amount of time come back with, okay, we've updated the tool, go take a look. And like Ian said earlier, one of the things about data that's tricky is so much of it comes down to the interpretation of the data and making sure you understand sort of how the data is processed, how it's hashed, and get the fine bits of understanding around what you're looking at. And so you and I have spent a lot of time on the phone, on Zoom calls, going over, okay, here's what I think I see. Let me explain it like a monkey. And then sort of read it back to me to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. And so it's been fantastic, both watching the tool evolve based on our feedback and our input and the support that you've given us as we've gone. It's really been great.
That makes me so happy to hear, guys. It's really been a pleasure working with you, and I appreciate all the insight that you've given me along the way, because this tool grows with the users, and I love being able to hear from you and hear what your ideas are for how it can evolve and grow over time. So I really thank you for that. So last question here. As you guys look forward to this upcoming year, 2021, I know you've touched on in pieces, but how is LTV numbers going to enable you to reach the goals that you've set for yourself in the next year?
Well, I think the big thing is just, well, I'd say there's two things. Is I think we're going to be able to do CPL type of stuff with affiliates. I think that could completely change our business, like huge source of income.
Yeah.
And the only way we can do it effectively is if we can break down the LTV by each affiliate. If we can't do that, we're not able to scale that up because we can't pay different rates based on how people are performing. So that, and then with the YouTube ads, getting our LTV dialed in and knowing what we can spend to acquire a new lead. And that's literally through LTV numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'd echo those two things. It's really, the ability to run, multiple traffic channels at a single funnel is incredible, because we can see LTV and AOV with different traffic channels coming into one place, versus before we were having to manually break out all of our funnels for different traffic channels, and then even getting more minute, trying to figure out some way to create clean data to make decisions. And so it's allowed us to move a lot faster. It's allowed us to focus more on the marketing piece and spend a lot of time really thinking about, what does our brand stand for? Who's our target customer? What's the journey we want to walk that customer through, instead of the really sort of tactical building out funnels and trying to track data manually. It's allowed us to know that that's all taken care of. And so we can focus on the bigger picture, which has allowed us to get a lot more strategic and longer term thinking. And so we've seen the results of that already through 2020. And we think we're really confident we're going to see explosive growth in 2021 as a result of all that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I completely agree. And it's been really fun to watch your business's growth in the last year. And I'm really looking forward to helping however I can. So thanks a lot for sharing everything today. The things that you said.
Thank you for making the software.
Yeah, thank you for doing the hard part. We're happy to do our part.
Thank you. It really makes me so happy to hear how much it's helped. So glad to be working together and excited for another good year.
Absolutely.
Sure.